I found my 2026 series. It's been a very long time that I don't read a series. Hi everyone, in today's video I'm gonna talk about Dead Until Dark by Charlaine Harris. In this video I'm gonna talk a little bit about the book with spoilers, with no spoilers. I'm gonna talk a little bit of the characters, what I liked about the story, and what I didn't like. So I rated this book 2.5 stars on Goodreads, but I'm also very excited to keep reading the series. So let me explain a little bit of my thought process in here. Dead Until Dark is gonna follow Sookie Stackhouse, our main protagonist. She is a waitress in a bar in a fictional city called Bon Tom in northern Louisiana. That's not fictional. And she has a pretty much normal life, aside from the fact that she's a telepath, until one day a vampire walks into the bar. So, for context, in this universe, vampires are known to the public. So, from when the story starts, 2 years prior that, vampires came out into public and they were like, yeah, we're real. Deal with that. And in this universe, they also drink something that is called true blood, that is basically canned or bottled blood, but it's like a synthetic blood. It's not really blood, but they drink it so they can mingle with humans and basically say that they are not a threat to humans. So this is kind of the context for when the vampire walks into the bar. And from the moment on, Suki's life takes a turn, everything changes. So from a normal life, now she's gonna live lots of adventures. Not only in this book, but the following series. It's 13 books. And other than that, the story is also going to talk about some mysterious murders that are happening in Bon Tom, which is a very small town, and like things like that don't happen. So it's very weird. And apparently, the murders are vampire related. So some people think that this vampire in town is responsible, or they're looking for suspects. And in the end, the main suspect of the investigation ends up being Jason Stackhouse, Suki's brother. So she decides to do some research herself, some investigation herself, to try to prove that her brother is innocent. And she decides to use her gift power to help her in this mission. So I'm going to talk a little bit of the characters. Our main protagonist is Sookie. She is 25 years old, which is very relieving to read because I've read some vampire books, not much. I read like 3 series, not completely, and like Dracula, but I've read some vampire books and I've watched lots of vampire movies and series. And it's very nice to have someone that is an adult dating a vampire instead of a 17-year-old. That's very nice. And that makes a difference when you're reading the book. You don't have much of the drama. She's more practical, and I also guess it's because of her age. So I really like that. Like I said, she's a normal girl. She's sweet. She's very intelligent. She likes her job. She lives with her grandmother. She has an okay to good relationship with her brother. And yeah, things start like that. She has kind of a normal life, like I said, but because of her telepathic abilities, she doesn't have much of a social life. She finds it really hard to have friends and to date because she can basically hear what everyone says, and she finds that very unsettling. And she developed a way to guard her mind from others' thoughts, but that's very exhaustive. So most of the time, she just like to be at her house and reading and doing more lonely things. Our next character is Bill Compton. Bill Compton is the vampire that walks into the bar. Bill is a different vampire from the other vampires that Sookie gets to meet in this book. He definitely tries to hold on to his humanity, and he likes Sookie. He's kind of fascinated by her gift, and her smell. She is different for him. We don't really know why. Bill says that she smells different, and like she has this ability that makes her special in his eyes. Like for her, this is a curse, and for him, like she's special. And he decides to be with her, but even though he tries to hold on to his humanity and he tries to be different than other vampires, like he lives by himself, he is kind of Suki's neighbor. He is still a vampire, so the book is written from Suki's perspective, so you're gonna have lots of scenes where she is kind of scared of him, especially when they're getting to know each other. She mentions, like, well, I was starting to get comfortable with him, and now he's just saying that he kills people, like, it means nothing. So I think it's interesting because, like, he doesn't try to pretend that he's a human, and he's not like the vampire bad boy stereotype. Like, he's in between, so he's an intriguing character. He holds on also to his memories of when he was alive. He's trying to not to feed on humans as much, well, anymore. So he was only drinking True Blood, which makes him a little bit weak or hungrier than usual, um, which is also interesting. Our next character is Sam Merlot. Sam Merlot is Sookie's boss. He's the owner of the bar where she works that is called Merlot's. And I don't have much to say about Sam. Maybe it's because I couldn't care less about him in this book, or because I wish I liked him, but I didn't like him in the book. He is around Suki's, no, he's a little bit older than Suki, and he owns the bar for a few years now, I guess like 4 years. He's not from Wonton, he's from outside. He moved into town 6 years ago. He looks like a nice guy. He likes to help people, but he's very closed. He's holding a secret. Suki doesn't know what it is, and but she knows that he is slightly different because she has a hard time reading his mind, and that doesn't happen with different people. I mean, with Sam is more specific, like he can block Suki from his mind, which never happened to her, and he has a crush on her. So things get interesting when Mr. Vampire Bill Compton shows in town. Next character, like next two characters, I promise, just two more characters. There's lots of men here. Like Suki doesn't have friends. Like she has one kind of a friend, but she's not very important to the story. I would say she's not important to the story. Next character is Eric Northman, our vampire bad boy. He's the owner of Fantasia, a bar that is the next town. Basically, it's like a vampire bar, and that's cool. That's very cool. Anyway, he's very, very, very old, and he finds out about Suki's ability, and he gets intrigued by her because, other than that, she has a very not feisty personality, but like she asks lots of questions and she doesn't do things just because she's told to do, and that's very intriguing. And also because of her abilities, she cannot be glamored by vampires. He's around from the half to the end of the story. He asks Suki for a favor using her gift, and she has to do it. She hates him because, like he glamours people, he kills people, he has sex with people, and then kill people. So she doesn't really like him. He's very different than Bill, but she learns that he is kind of Bill's superior. She doesn't really know what goes on in there, but like Bill owes respect to Eric, and that surprises Suki. And our last character is Mr. Jason Stackhouse, Sookie's brother. He is 3 or 4 years older than her. He doesn't live with their grandma anymore. He lives in their house, like their grandparents' house. He didn't go to college either. He stayed at Bontham. He works there. He has like a normal life, but dude is a womanizer. Every other night, no, every night, he's basically with a different girl. And because of that, he becomes the investigation's prime suspect because, the girls that died, coincidentally or not, they used to be their situationships, and in one case, even ex girlfriend. So the investigation kind of turns to him, and the investigation from the murders is basically like tied between him or Bill. And he has like a good relationship with Suki, I guess. Like they're very different. He doesn't have the same gift as Suki. Her grandma also doesn't have the same ability as her. Um, and I think they're as close as it can get, giving different ages and different lifestyles because, like Suki never had a boyfriend, but Jason is dating half of town. So basically, kind of, this is the ensemble. This is the characters that show up the most in the book. And now for the story, I said a little bit of the story, and now what I think of the story and what I think of the characters in the story, because one thing follow the other. I like the book until halfway through it, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I like, which is spoiler free, and I'm gonna talk about what I didn't like. It's literally I like the book until the half. After the half, I was like, oh my god. I mean, it's not bad or anything, but then I started seeing some flaws. So I try really hard with this book to pretend that I've never seen this story before. And it kind of worked. I mean, there's some similarities to the TV show, there are some differences, but I really try to approach it as, my first contact with the story. That said, I really liked the first half of the book. I mentioned in some of my latest videos that recently I finished, or I was about to finish, True Blood. I started the series like a year ago, and I was considering reading the book for a while when I was around like season 4, season 5. So I'm naturally a type of person that I like to draw comparisons between things, especially books and movies or books and TV shows. It's a little, the pace changes throughout the book. It starts a little bit slow, but I also think it's because, like you have to introduce the characters and you have to introduce the world. And sometimes you kind of have some paragraphs that can be just exposition, but also, to be fair, this is something that I really like and I really think it's promising about the book. The universe is very interesting, and you can see that it has rules. So you can see that the author has plans for a series. Like that was in the first series that she wrote. She had 2 or 3 other series prior to that. And there's some hints of how well organized vampires are in their society, and some other things that are explicitly said in the books. For example, like you do owe respect to older vampires, and there's like some hierarchy behind it. But there's the Eric exception because I just didn't understand very well if it's because he's older or because he has some type of title job inside the organization of vampires. But anyway, they are very well organized, and you can see that the author will explore these ideas more. And I really like Suki's and her grandma's relationship. I think it's very cute and very sweet. And her reasoning for still living with her grandma, even though she could just live by herself. I also like how realistic her psychic ability feels and how much it impacts her life to the point where she cannot, do normal things because it's very exhausting and or like she would invade someone's privacy. And I really like it. I feel like it gives depth to the character. I like Sookie. I like the way she handles situations. I like that she's very realistic, even though she likes Bill. She knows that he's a vampire and things can get tricky. She has strong opinion about things. She's very curious. She likes to help, and I think it's going to be a very interesting thing for next books to see more of the vampire world through her eyes. And another thing that really kept me intrigued during the book was how the vampires are going to be approached through the rest of the series. Like the mix of supernatural and everyday life. I really liked it, and the ambience was something that kept me reading the book and kept me hooked into it. But now the things that I didn't like very much, I would say that the mystery didn't sound very mysterious to me. I also don't know if I like the kind of spicy scenes there in the book. But I mean, that's not like a super bad thing. I just think they're cringe. I was reading them and I was like, oh my god, I can we get over this soon? They're not very detailed. I wouldn't say like 18 plus type of spicy, but it's like 16, 17. But they're just cringy, and I was reading it, and it would even though the book has like vampires and things, and like people like Sookie can hear thoughts, those moments, like the spicy scenes, were the moments where I was like, oh, okay, I'm reading a book. I don't want to keep reading this. So this is definitely like a letdown, and I think this is going to be a pattern for the other books too, because it's supposed to be more for grown-ups. Like it has this sexy, almost erotic atmosphere with Suki and Bill during the book. So I feel like this is going to be something that is going to continue in the story. I don't know if I like it. And I guess the other, like I said, the other point that I didn't like is the mystery. I don't think out of all the other things in the book that were more interesting, the mystery is not even top five for me. I wasn't intrigued to know who was the killer. I wasn't curious. I felt like throughout the book, lots of times the author had to keep reminding me that there was a killer in town. So I feel like the murders would happen in random times just to remind the reader that, hey, this is still a mystery book. But I feel like the other things happening around the protagonist and around the other characters, they were far more interesting than the mystery. Once we figure out who was the killer, I didn't feel anything. I was like, okay, I guess. I mean, you're a pretty bad person. But other than that, I didn't feel anything. I don't know how this is gonna, if this will, like, I don't think it should or shouldn't, but I don't think this is something that will impact the story in the future. I don't know. It was just okay. I would definitely recommend this book for people that like vampires. I feel like for me, that was the biggest highlight. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's interesting for you to see how a different author is going to portray vampires, how this universe works, the rules of it. But I wouldn't recommend this book if you want to read a mystery. Because, like I said, I don't think, even though like this is supposed to be an urban fantasy mystery, I don't think it's very mysterious, and I think it's going to be more of a letdown if you kind of like mystery books. I feel like there are other options out there you could read, but this is definitely a plus if you like vampires. So if you like vampires, and then okay, I could have a mystery in it, this book is for you. So I would like to thank you guys for watching the video so far. Hope you liked it. And if you watched so far, I would like to know if you have any vampire books or series that you would recommend, or do you think it's good? If you want to share in the comments, I would be very glad to read about it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.